Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I got another interview for you today. I got to sit down with Mark Masztal from Big Comic Con. He's one of the two creators, founders, runners, whatever. Big Comic Con is a one-day comic-focused con in Springfield, Massachusetts, here in New England, or there in New England. I'm New England adjacent. It's a very cool, intimate kind of show for artists, indie creators of all types. Really fun. Mark goes into huge details on it, so I don't need to rehash it all here. But Bing Comic Con is October 29th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's just $5 to get in. I believe there's something with young kids getting in for free, but don't hold me to that. But, I mean, $5 for price of admission to a Comic Con, you really can't beat that. Really cool conversation, and not only is Mark one of the founders and runners of the Comic Con, he is also a creator himself, which I think is even cooler because a creator creating an avenue for other creators to be able to spread their work is just obviously a passion project. Really cool stuff. Enjoy the interview. Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I'm sitting down with Mark Masztal. Hopefully I got that right.
Got it.
And you are the founder of Bing Comic Con. You run it?
It's a team joint with Mike Dobbs. Mike and I both had this crazy idea like 10 years ago. Springfield doesn't have a convention, at least at that time. And we're like, we got to get something going. We got to do something that's a fundraiser and also give, local artists and stuff a place to be, and set up their stuff and at an affordable rate. Because, all the big shows around the area are, hundreds of dollars for a table.
Yeah.
So we said, let's put together something really quick. And we did it in 2 months. We had it at the Bing Arts Center, which is, if you've ever been in it, it's a little tight, but I managed to jam in 27 tables. And we had a great first year. So the following year, Brian at the Bing Arts Center decided, let's do this again. All the proceeds would go back to the Bing after we take care of all the bills. And then we set up down the street at the Trinity Methodist Church. And that's where we've been ever since.
Okay, cool. And it's still a kind of a fundraiser of sorts for the Bing Art Center?
It's still a fundraiser, but the Bing was sold during the COVID years. And even though they set up a different kind of nonprofit, Mike and I are going to go and focus more towards some of the soup kitchens that are in the area, especially seeing that we come in at the end of October. Then you have November and Thanksgiving, and families are going to be looking for food.
Yeah.
So whatever we have left over from after paying the bills, it'll go directly to that fund. And it's actually co-run by Trinity Methodist. So this will work out pretty well for everybody, I think.
Yeah, that is a nice setup. We'll definitely talk about this year's Bing Comic Con. That's probably the big push for this conversation. But if you want to give a little bit more on the background, I can't wrap my head around how you start a convention. It just seems like there's so many moving parts, even for a smaller one-day con, that it's what's step one? A location?
Yeah. I think for us, it was location. We asked Brian Hale at the time, can we do a fundraiser for the Bing? Let's do a small, convention at the Bing. And he was like, all for it because, realistically, being a nonprofit, you don't get a lot of funding from the city or the state. So, any extra funds coming in his door were, was much appreciated. Then, like I said, when we saw how great it went, I said, okay, Brian, let's look around for another place, something bigger. And he was friends with the pastor at Trinity Methodist, and he reached out to them, and they have a fantastic hall. And it's perfect. It's a great big room, like a gymnasium with a stage. Plus, we also had a couple of alternative rooms, and there's also a kitchen. So then it's just up to me to hop on Facebook because everything was run through Facebook. Just setting up a Facebook page. It was free. It's kind of, it's not buying a website or managing it with a webmaster. It's just myself and Brian and Mike just putting our heads together and figuring out how this will run, how to organize it, and make it the best for everybody who's attending. Then I hop on my high horse and I just send out to everybody saying, here's BingCon. We've got tables available. Who wants to come in? and I targeted all the local artists that I know. And ever since the first year, we had 2 rooms, and I want to say that we probably had about 35 tables. And then the following year, the numbers were so great that we added a 3rd room. So now we have 50 tables.
Oh, wow.
2019, the last year we did it before COVID, we had the top 3 rooms. Plus, I had a wait list of like 20 people. So we were actually able to use another room in the basement. And, I gave everybody a break on the table rate just because it was, a basement room added at the last minute. And we filled up that room too. And
Wow.
everybody seemed happy. Yeah, everybody sold. So, if we could find one of these big convention centers that, was affordable, I'm sure we could fill it up fairly well.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And from everything I've heard, just from like people in the area, people in the New England area, they like the intimacy of the show. They like that it's not like a big Hollywood autograph mill, and nothing knocking people who want to go to cons and get autographs, but there's cons for that. So,
Right. 4 or 5 years ago, comic book dealer Mike Murray turned me on to Richard Pini. Now, I've known Richard for years, and I always thought, well, maybe it'd be great to have him come to our show. So I reached out to him. He said, sure, I'll check it out, And if anybody doesn't know, Richard Pini is the co-creator of ElfQuest, and his wife, Wendy, is also the artist and co-creator. So Richard showed up at our show. Super nice guy. Didn't want any gas money or tolls or anything. And he was coming out of Hudson Valley. And he set up at the show. He seemed to have a great time. I went up to him at the end of the show, and I was like, well, what did you think of our little show? And he was like, I loved it. He said, this is great to sit down and chat with people, be face-to-face, not have to worry about running to this, this hall or that hall for different presentations. And he just got a huge kick out of just being that kind of intimate, like you said. And basically, Richard Pini says at the end of the show, I'll do your show anytime you want me to come.
that's awesome.
So, I'm like, hell's bells. How about next year?
Yeah. It's like, be careful what you say.
Yeah, I jumped on it. So Richard has been with us for 3 years. Like I said, then we had the COVID years. And, we thought about it in 2021, but, the vaccines hadn't really kicked in, and we didn't want to risk anybody's health. So we skipped. This year we set up for the 29th of October. And lo and behold, Baltimore Comic Con also moved their show to basically, come against the same dates that we have. So I did ask Richard. He was looking forward to it. And then he realized the date and said, oh, I'm going to be at Baltimore. So no Richard this year. But now that Wendy's on the East Coast, I'm going to try for 2023 to get both Peonies there. And I think that would be a big one because I don't think Wendy's ever been here before in this area.
That would be cool. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they both have quite a following, and it's always the lowly writer who doesn't get as much credit. It's always the artist. Nothing against writers or artists, but let's get Wendy out here too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be tough to find a date because it seems like for a good stretch of like mid to late summer, right up until winter, at least in New England, there's like 3 cons a weekend.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, back when I was doing a lot of comics with Tom Snagowski, it was Boston, New York, Nashua, New Hampshire, and Albany. And that was kind of it. There were a small one-day shows here and there, but nothing really major. It was mostly a mix of comic book dealers and card dealers and maybe 2 artists thrown into a table. But yeah, nowadays it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think if you're willing to drive 3 hours, you can hit a con every weekend for like 4 straight months.
Yeah. Our first year we did it in August, and August at the Bing was pretty warm. We really taxed the air conditioning. So the following year at the church, our first year at the church, we did August, and it was still a little warm. So we decided, let's try October. And that seems to work the best, especially late October, right around Halloween. Most of the bigger conventions have already happened. And then we, get the ones in November. But this year, Baltimore rescheduled and they jumped our week, but it's all right. we still have all the locals coming. We have a few people from Boston coming out, and I'm really thrilled with the list that we have this year. We've got some new people coming in that have never done our show, people who don't really do comic book shows, and that's a huge plus, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And since you kind of made a nice segue already, do you want to go over your list for this year? I mean, maybe not the entire thing. I don't know how extensive, but
Sure, sure. Well, I always try to invite like 5 to 6 VIPs. Okay, those people who we give them a table, we ask them to come and donate their time. I always ask them if they want, travel fee or cash or gas money, and for the most part, no one says yes, please. Everyone's been really good about it. This year we have returning Jim Lawson, who's been with us for, geez, I want to say 5 or 6 years. And Jim's just an awesome person, fantastic person, great artist. He's got a fan following with his work from the Ninja Mutant Turtles.
yeah.
And I mean, he's just such a nice guy. And he's bringing his wife, Kathy, she's a superstar. And it's just great to talk to the two of them because it's like two people inhabiting the body of one. They've been married that long and they just follow each other's, conversations, and they're super nice people. New for this year is going to be writer Tom Stogowski, who I worked with when we did our Dogs of War book. And since then, Tom has moved on to Vampirella. And he's also written, I would say, probably 20 to 25 novels, from young adult to adult novels. And right now he's working with Boom Studios, and he's doing Vampirella Strikes and Panther, and I think it's the Vampirella Wars. I'm not sure on the third one, but the other two are still going strong. He's also bringing along Janine Atchison, who is his writing partner. They knew each other way back when they were like little whippersnappers in high school. And they finally reconnected like 30 years later, and they're, both writing. And he said, why don't you try doing some comic strips with us? So she's having a good time with it. She's really growing as a writer. And, Tom's a super nice guy, wicked funny. Everyone will really enjoy talking to him and getting some nuggets of wisdom from this Nagoski. This year, Steve Murphy is going to be coming down from Greenfield, and Steve is the writer of the Puma Blues. And he also wrote quite a few of the Archie Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle books. Another dear friend, another super nice guy. And he'll be coming down with some books to sign. And he'll also be bringing along an artist named Andrew De La Valle, who he's working on a couple small projects. And it'll be nice to have the two of them together. That way they can talk about their projects, work off each other, and really promote themselves.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. The big guy I got this year, and I'm very happy about it, is fantasy painter Bob Eagleton. Bob's primarily known as the Brian Lumley skull painter and the Godzilla artist, but he's been working in the fantasy artwork field for 30, 40 years, doing all different kinds of cover paintings for paperback books. He had an extensive run on a lot of Brian Lumley books, and he's also done one issue of Godzilla in Hell, which he wrote and painted. And a super fantastic guy. And his wife, Marianne Plumridge, has come along. She's also another artist, and the two of them will be set up side by side. And he'll be having prints to sell and maybe some original artwork and some sketches, and he'll also have some of his books.
That's really cool. Those are really good names.
Yeah, I was really happy with like that front table. Some of the other people I got coming along are Gary Smith. He's a South Deerfield artist, and he's a fantasy painter. He did his time at the Kubert School, and he's done some comic book work. And he's really gotten though into the fine painting, fine arts. He's going to have quite a few prints and some original artwork there to show. To shake things up, I've got Warren Onuffer coming in. He's a Western Mass writer, and he's got a series of books about the vampire Hadley. I would say it's kind of a take on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but from the opposite side. So okay. The vampire is the star of the book, and they're a lot of fun. I wouldn't call them young adult books, but they're challenging either way for young adults or adults. So stop by Warren's table, check out his books. Super nice guy. Everyone would really have a good time talking to him. Some of the other people are local artist Aaron Wood. He's a graphic designer and an illustrator, and he's got a whole new set of prints he's coming out this year. And this is him returning to the show. I think Woody did the last show with us in 2019.
Okay.
So we're looking forward to seeing him again.
Yeah, he's got cool work.
Yeah. Some guy named Marcellus Reagans is coming. Don't know who he is,
Who's that guy? Yeah.
Some guy. I've got the incredible duo of Michael Vlad and Gabrielle Sepulveda, boyfriend, girlfriend, who both have completely different art styles. And they're going to be splitting a couple tables. Michael's been at our show before, and I believe Gabriella has also been there. They're both going to have some prints and artwork to show off. Doug Arthur's going to be coming out from Albany. He's a humorist and an artist, a comic book writer. I think people really like seeing Doug. Doug's got a really different take on art and his viewpoints. So I think I'll have a good time talking with him. Got a really exciting kid coming out called Tanner Ogle. Tanner's been coming up in the past few years. He's taken some courses at the Kubert School, and his original artwork, you could see it was just starting to bloom. But now this new stuff he's doing will knock your socks off. Really beautiful stuff. He graciously let me take this one Dead Man piece he had. I'm throwing some color on it, and he'll have that print to sell at the show. But he'll also have some of his own comics and some of his prints. And if anybody can look at his portfolio, please do, because his stuff is stellar. Really beautiful work.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Something a little different. I've got Riverview Sewing Studio. She's a leather worker coming out of Western Mass, and she's doing fantasy designed purses and wallets and coin purses, all different kinds of things to use around the house. It's not just going to be a print that you can stick up on the wall. This is stuff that you can use every day. And her sewing style is impeccable. Beautiful quality. I think everyone who checks out her work will be very happy.
It sounds like a really cool mix.
Yeah. The focus of Bing has always been on the artists. I do have a couple comic book dealers. This year we have Holy Moly coming down from Northampton, and I got Kit Henry coming down from Greenfield. They'll both have a couple tables. They'll be selling some back issues and I think some newer books. But for the most part, it's artist based, artist, creator, writer based. Our tables are affordable. People make money on our shows. They don't feel like they've got to really bust their butt to make their table back, because with us it's super easy. And when the attendees come in, when the people come to the door and they've only paid $5 to get in the door, they still got some money in their pocket to spend on the artists.
Yeah, that's a huge thing too, because some of the larger cons, the artist tables are a lot, and then it's a lot for people to get in. They might have one or two things in mind, and you're kind of tapped out.
Right. This year too, I also have Amy's Cakes coming back. She was with us 2 years ago with a whole line of kind of high quality and cupcakes. In the past few years, Amy has really bloomed as a baker. So now she's doing cupcakes and cakes and pies. And I must say the past 3 years, my birthday cake has come from Amy's, and she's really done some nice jobs. So she'll have a table there, and she'll be selling, a lot of confectionery stuff. But that's also too, the church is going to have something going on in the kitchen. So, if you don't want to just, over-indate yourself with sugar, they'll have sandwiches and chips and sodas and water and stuff in there. So that'll be a nice little balance, I think.
Yeah, for sure. That's a smart idea too, having a couple food vendors.
Yeah. And, and again, it's going to be through the church. So any kind of proceeds that they make will go right back to the church.
That's also good. Yeah. And you said supporting soup kitchens and stuff, which is nice.
Yeah. Let me just take a quick look at my list here. Oh, Scotty Hamilton, Hamiltoons. Scotty is a caricature artist, and he's been around for quite a bit in the Western Mass. And we just sadly found out that Scotty's moving to Florida.
Yeah.
So I believe this is going to be Scotty's last convention in Massachusetts. So I think we should do something special for Scotty, kind of give him a Western Mass how to do and bon voyage. So we'll work up something. One other thing we do too is I've got Tom Van Zandt coming back as our MC and also as a DJ, and I've known Tom for 30 years, and he's been with us since our second show at the church, and he's really helpful when it comes to organizing our events and getting people to really just blossom when he can bring them up on stage and chats with them. This year we're probably going to do the art fight, which is 2 pads of paper, 2 easels, a couple markers, and we bring up guests and attendees, and we give them 90 seconds to draw something that has been offered up from the audience. And it can be interesting. It can be embarrassing, but it's a lot of fun. Everyone has a blast. Our last year there, I had writer Mike Dobbs and writer Richard Peeney come up, and they both took 90 seconds and drew some amazing stuff. And Richard came to me later and he goes, I've been doing this for 35 years and no one's ever asked me to do an art fight. so I was like, hot damn, I did my job then, because I got him up there and he had a good time doing it.
And that must have been entertaining for the crowd too.
Oh yeah, because the both of them are looking at each other going, and of course, we always put it out to the audience to see who, to let them vote on who won. And I think I saw Mike Dobbs dip into his pocket and pull a 10 out and maybe try to, to win the affection of the audience.
Little bribe.
Little bribe, yeah. So that's where we're at this year. So October 29th from 11 to 5 at Trinity Methodist Church on Sumner Avenue. I think we're going to have a really good show. I think everyone's going to have a good time. It's our first show back, and it's our first show with Mike and I just running it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we're jumping through hoops. We're both keeping very busy. I got to order the tables today or tomorrow. Then I have to go tablecloth shopping and decorations and stuff like that. We're hoping that people will bring their kids along. We're a couple days before Halloween. Let's have the kids come through and, besides just cosplaying, wear their Halloween outfits. I'll probably invest.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll probably invest in some bowls and get some candy and let the kids do a little trick or treating, and just try to make it as family friendly as we can. I mean, we're in a church, so we only have a couple of restrictions. No gambling, so that means we can't have any raffles, and we always try to keep an eye out for more adult oriented artwork. So if anybody's got anything that's a little risque, we always say, keep it behind the table. But so far, we've never had any problems.
Comic-Cons generally seem like pretty family-friendly places in general, so.
Yeah, the shows of the past where it was just like, the nerd boys, and their dads come along, it's really progressed. I mean, even just sitting at shows in the past couple of years, you see full families coming through and they're having a great time.
Yeah.
And, that's what we're catering towards. But we still want the nerd boys to come in because they're the ones that really enjoy the artwork and they buy the comics.
For sure, yeah. And they're your next vendors also.
Yeah. The kid that is scoping out, say, Jim Taylor's table or my table, because I'll be having a new book there this year. And so will Mike Dobbs. Mike's going to be premiering his new book about the Fleischer Studios. And I'm going to have a new novella coming out this year. It's a series of short stories, weird Western short stories. So that'll be a lot of fun to premiere there. But you got this guy coming along and he'll talk to you and he'll get ideas and you give him advice on writing and or drawing. And, 2-3 years later, just like Tanner Ogle, you got this guy, he's sitting up behind a table and he's got books and prints and original artwork for sale. And you kind of feel good when you see them come back and they do your show and you're like, well, I did my thing. I kind of mentored them and taught them, and then they took it on their own and they've really progressed with their style and their career.
Yeah, that is really cool that you're also on both fronts of this, where you're supplying a place for the creatives, but you're also a creative. I think it's awesome that you're doing both.
Yeah, I spent 25 years on and off doing comics. And then once I got into graphic design, I then helped out friends of mine who needed their books to be published, and they self-published their books. I designed the covers, the interiors, and we were able to upload them either through Amazon or Ingram Spark. And now, a couple of years ago, I wrote my first novella called Blood in the Water, and I self-published it, and it sold pretty well. And it'll be a joy because this is the first time it will actually ever be at a Bing Comic Con, because I did it out in 2020, and the writing bug is kind of caught. So I've got Blood in the Water's done. Yeah, Resurrection Sam will be premiering at the show. I have a sequel to the Shark book. Then I have a sci-fi alien book that'll be out next spring. And then probably sometime next summer, I'll have the second Resurrection Sam short story collection done.
Very cool.
So, I'm going to try to get 4 or 5 books out over the next year and push them and sell them and try to do as many shows as I can and not burn myself out.
Yeah, that's the real key, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about self-publishing. You got to self-promote it, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook or email blasts or doing conventions. You got to get out there.
And that is the hardest part. I'm sure most people would agree with.
Yeah, I mean, this past year I did 7 shows, and I haven't done 7 shows in a long time. And once I got the summer done, I was like, all right, I got to focus on the Bing. I got to focus on my marriage because my wife is like, "You're leaving again for a show?" But I think it's going to be a good show this year, and Mike and I are very excited about it.
It sounds it. It sounds like you have a great list. It's a good location. Sorry, I don't have a door for this room yet. The small one-day shows, I always think, have that more old school comic vibe feel, where it was just tables along boxes and artists and people who wanted to talk about it. I love the whole environment.
Right. Yeah, and Springfield's been really good, about having us there. No one's ever given us a hard time. The church lets us put signage all up along their lawn. This year I sent out an invite to the mayor of Springfield saying, Dominic, come on by and see what's going on in your city. We are Springfield's first show in a very long time, and we're also a show in Springfield that is run by Springfield natives. So we kind of pride ourselves on giving back to the community. So I think we'll have a good time with it. The church has been fantastic. They've been super easy to deal with. And I think it's a fantastic location. People drive up and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look at this church. It's got this really cool Gothic feel to it." And all the cosplayers sit there and just take photos of themselves in front of the place. One other nice thing is it's got free parking, and it's a huge parking lot. So no one's going to be getting screwed over about high-priced parking over on this lot or that lot. You just pull right on in, park your car, and come into the show.
That is a huge plus, yeah. Especially for people with families, kids, strollers, whatever.
Yeah. And we have the front door, which has got a high set of stairs, but anybody bringing in a stroller or a cart or something, there is a handicap ramp that comes right into the building. And then we have 2 custom ramps that help people up and over a couple flights of stairs. So for the vendors coming in, it's an easy load in, load off. Anybody in a wheelchair, easily accessible. Anybody pushing a baby or wheeling in that cart that they're going to fill up with books, no problem. Just come on in.
That's excellent too. Yeah, a lot of moving pieces and things for you to have to think about ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Mark, I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to Bing for sure. Do you want to give everybody the Facebook and the address to the actual con itself again?
Sure. The Facebook page is, I believe it's just Facebook/BingCon 2014. That's what it was when we first set it up on Facebook. You can just do a search too for Bing Comic Con 2022, and you'll find us. And it is Sumner Avenue in Springfield for the church. You're going to ask me the exact address, and I couldn't tell you. But it is Trinity Methodist Church.
It'll be on the
It's on the Facebook page. Trinity Methodist Church, 11 to 5, October 29th. Bring the kids. Let's do some Halloween and trick-or-treating. Come see writers, artists, and creators from all over Massachusetts and Connecticut. And like I said, come by and have some fun. That's our big thing, is have fun at our show. It's relaxing. It's entertaining. I think everybody comes away from the show feeling like they're part of it, part of a community. And that's what we hope for. Everyone just gets along. And, again, I'm going to repeat myself. Have a great time.
Right. Excellent. Well, Mark, thanks again. Looking forward to meeting you in person at Bing.
Great. Thanks, Adam. And I look forward to you and what's his face at your table.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Mark one more time for taking time out of his busy schedule, especially with the con, kind of breathing down his neck coming close. I'm sure the logistics of it are insane. Once again, Bing Comic Con, Springfield, Mass. At the Trinity United Methodist Church from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., just $5 to get in. If you're anywhere near the area, come check it out. So Wizard will be there. I will be there representing social studies, and So Wizard's own Mark Reagans will be there with his own artwork. Plenty of cool stuff. And I'm actually pretty sure that Andrew DeValley, friend of the show and huge influence on me, really helped me get social studies off the ground. Can't thank that dude enough. Will also be there with his newest comic project. So lots of things to check out in the So Wizard world. Lots of other artists and creative to check out at Bing Comic Con. Come and hang out. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe. We got a lot more interviews, new movie coverage, movie reviews, comic coverage, Amazon screeners coming back in, all this great stuff and more. You're not going to want to miss out. Also, make sure to listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week wherever you get your podcasts. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, videos, merchandise, and more. We love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments, leave us something in social media. All the accounts will be found after the show and in the show notes. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows, audio and video. And as I briefly mentioned, on a more personal note, a good friend and I have an ongoing comedy comic series. It's called Social Studies. We got 9 issues currently available. 2 are coming any day now. I swear this supply chain excuse has to stop at some point. You can find all that and more at socialstudiescomic.com or on Comixology, coming soon to Global Comics, and of course, Bing Comic Con. Thanks.